Warriors! What an amazing week it's been. Wow. Historical, right? There's a lot of confusion in the marketplace. Cryptocurrency has taken a dive yesterday. Things get really, really confusing. But what I want to let you know, Warriors, when you know the game, you can be played. The fundamentals are always the same. So it's important to understand who the players are in the game. And when you start to look at a 30,000 foot overview, you can see everything that's happening. But what's going on right now is we're in the micro right now. We're confused. Left, right, up, down. I can't say certain things or my account will get shut down. I'm experiencing it right now on TikTok. A lot of you have come from TikTok. My account's being suppressed and I'm losing followers on a daily basis. My account is not reaching anybody. People are asking me where my account's at. It's just part of the cancel culture. So it's about taking a deep breath, thinking about something for just a moment. Do you live in the freest country in the world? If you're being suppressed or your information is being suppressed or if someone doesn't like your opinion, they can shut your account down. Just wanted you to think about that. Now here's my stance. And so this will get you the opportunity to watch my video or stop following me, right? I love God. I follow the life of Jesus. I'm non-religious. I love everybody. If you're Mormon, great. Catholic, great. If you're Jehovah's Witness, great. If you're Buddhist, great. We are all spiritual beings having a human experience. And let me introduce myself. My name is Coach JV. I am the top health and mindset coach in the world. What you believe in your heart, you think in your mind, will eventually become your words and become your realities. I'm just here to share information with you guys from my long, extensive history in banking, 12 years, understanding the banking system at a very deep level, and I'm bringing information to you guys to make an informed decision. I ask you to believe not a word I say, but in turn, listen to what I say and do your own research. Become your own researcher. Become your own, ecosystem of learning and growing from the inside out. Hydrate your mind with information, Warriors. All right, so what I'm going to share with you guys today is I'm going to take you on a journey, okay? I'm going to show you some of the key players in the game, and the players have changed a little bit, and you have to know that. That's one of the most important things. As people are watching the What video, this way, right? There's a pandemic going this way. There's a whole nother narrative going on the other way. So this just came out. So Kevin Setman's to me, my business partner. So we're always watching the World Economic Forum, the IMF, and we're doing all the research for you guys so you guys don't have to go everywhere, right? So the World Economic Forum posted this yesterday on January 21st, 2021. I want you to notice something for just a moment. There's only 4,000 people that have watched this video. There's 7 billion people in our world, okay? Now I'm going to play this video all the way through, and then I'm going to slow it down when Christine Lagarde is talking. I'm going to show you some preemptive programming, okay? Let's watch this video first.
We've reached a human crisis unlike any that we've experienced in the last 75 years.
Meaning one side has too much, the other side will oppose it.
We've done a lot of things to create the imbalances that we have today.
COVID-19 has laid bare the systemic social inequities. Addressing these larger problems must become our priority.
We have to make sure that the economy actually works for the people.
It's not just about growth for growth's sake, but how we share that prosperity.
It is not sustainability or profit. It is profit through sustainability.
We have to reskill our people to be successful, and if they're more prosperous, the companies are going to be more prosperous.
The most important tools are the education and technology.
Technology creates opportunities so that people are able to move to greener industries.
It's not about not knowing that we are in a climate emergency. It's about choosing to take action.
For that, you need to act decisively in the support of renewable energy.
The science is very clear today that the sustainable path is more attractive.
We can focus on the short-term benefit, or we can look further to solve bigger issues.
We need unprecedented collaboration to create systemic change.
It means redesigning the instruments we currently have
on a completely different trajectory, and that doesn't leave anybody behind.
We are one community, and we have to remember that.
All right, so let's go back a moment, okay? So we just watched that video. You need to pick up a few things here, so I'm going to go back. Let's look at what Christine Lagarde said, okay? And people think that cryptocurrency is not the future. All right, let's go back here really quickly. Boom. Okay, this is important. Remember, Warriors make it all the way through this stuff.
Unlike any that we've experienced in the last 75 years.
Meaning one side has too much, the other side will oppose it.
We've done a lot of things to create the imbalance.
So why do you think we're fighting against each other? Who created that, Warriors? Just think about that for just a moment.
Balances that we have today.
COVID-19 has laid bare The systemic social inequities addressing these larger problems must become our priority.
We have to make sure that...
Boom. There you go. I'll just leave it right there. So I'll be watching this on the 25th. Of course, I'll watch the whole thing. This stuff is not exciting, Warriors. That's why you're not watching it. I get it. It's not exciting. Economics is not exciting. Okay, so this is going to be a longer video. So now I'm going to show you Brian Brooks. Now remember, Brian Brooks is a key player. Brian Brooks came from Coinbase, one of the top legal counsels at Coinbase, became the head of the operation of currency control in America for a short amount of time. He's already leaving. Then I'm going to show you who is probably replacing him. And I'm going to show you some key players in the game because the players are moving frequently, but you have to listen to what he says because he came here for a short amount of time. So what did he come here for? Listen.
You have given quite a good segue to my next question, actually, which is really when you're talking about, Fannie Mae, it's slow, but you were able to bring change there. So, when you think about your passion and your vision for financial innovation, how does that align with the work of the OCC? What was your first reaction when you were considering a role there? Because I know a lot of people who work in this space or feel passionate about it. A regulatory agency isn't the first place that they would go to work on that.
Well, so I guess what I would say is I think that there's something different about this agency versus almost all other agencies in the U.S. government, and I'll say more about that in a second. But second, to me, whenever you are thinking about the job, the way I think about it is, is it the right platform for me? Because it's sort of like I said about my answers to your question before we got on here. No matter what questions you ask me today, there are certain things I'm going to say. And it doesn't matter if you ask me what time of day it is or what's my favorite color, I'm still going to give you certain answers because that's part of my message that I will give. And it's the same thing to me about platforms, which is this is a great platform if you have an agenda. And clearly I showed up here with an agenda on day one that I've been thinking about for 25 years. So for me, it's not about, I want to go work in the government. It's more about the OCC is in charge of the financial system, and I do have a vision for what the financial system can be.
Okay, do you understand what he just said? I came here with a clear vision. I've been thinking about this for 25 years. In 1996, MIT started creating the cryptocurrency protocol. Brian Brooks came from Coinbase for a very short amount of time. He just said, I came here with a purpose.
You put me there, that'll be the vision that you'll hear about. Right. So let me just say one word about why the OCC is really different, though. And I've just noticed, just looking at the list of attendees here, that there are a number of OCC people and alums on the line, including, without calling out her name, one of the most important visionaries who ever worked at this agency. And the reason I think this place is really different is the OCC, going back 30 or 40 years at least, has been sort of in the prow of the boat, seeing the future. And what I mean by that is at every important juncture in economic history, whether it is about bank charters or about technology or the scope of the way that people receive their financial services, it's the OCC that has been first to recognize it and has adapted to it. So just to give you a couple of examples, there was a time in the 60s when computers, mainframe computers, were first being adopted by big businesses, including banks. And banks were not likely to invest in mainframe computing unless they could sell their excess data processing capacity at a profit, because at the time, banks weren't using enough of those computers to justify the investment. And so the controller at that time came out with a ruling that said it was a permissible bank power, not only to do actual banking stuff like making loans and taking deposits, but also to the extent a bank used the computer system to do that, and there was excess capacity to sell computing power to people who weren't banks, for various purposes. That was hugely controversial, but the controller at that time realized that, hey, if we're going to migrate banks onto a computer platform and away from book entry, we're going to need to make it easier for banks to do that by allowing them to sell that as part of the business of banking. That was allowed. Fast forward a generation.
Okay, so that's really important. We're going through an SEC lawsuit against Ripple. It's the biggest change in banking history. Think about what he just said. Going from when you used to go in to get your finances, they would take out your little entry form, they would do your deposit. That was a big change from paper to a computer. So there was all this weird information and resistance. It always happens. That's what the SEC lawsuit is all about, pushing people through the resistance to a whole new quantum financial system.
early 90s, and synthetic financial products are being offered by a bunch of competitors that are not thought of as banking products. A great example would be variable annuities, which look a lot like a savings account. You put money in, you earn a rate of interest. It sounds like a savings account. And the question was, could banks sell variable annuities? It was enormously controversial. Annuities were usually sold by insurance companies, not banks. And the insurance lobby sued the OCC, over its authority to do that. And it was so controversial that it went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court before the Supreme Court validated the OCC's right to say that variable annuities were a permissible activity for banks. You fast forward.
Boom. Again, that was opposite, though. The variable annuity sued the SEC. There's always a lawsuit. Tesla got sued before the stock price skyrocketed. Amazon got sued by the SEC before this. There's always a lawsuit to bring attention and adoption.
To the present moment. And, I've said this in many different fora, there are two major trends going on in the economy right now. There is a trend toward fintech. That's what I call the unbundling trend. Where
that's financial technology.
More and more people are looking to achieve a bespoke financial services experience away from their depository institution. So that's why some of these payment companies and some of these marketplace lenders have gotten so much adoption. It's precisely because they're not deposit takers, right? They can focus like a laser on one thing, and customers like that. So that puts pressure on banks, but it also puts pressure on us to think about, if those are banking activities, how can we keep them in the fold of our chartered institutions? But
key. How can we keep them in the fold of our chartered institution? Banks are moving rapidly towards crypto adoption. Well, you're just looking the other way, okay? Bank of America has the most cryptocurrency patents.
Their most important trend, and this is a longer-term trend, is the trend toward decentralization. It's the same trend that drove us away from libraries and post offices and onto the original internet. And that trend inevitably will transform the delivery of financial services. And I say
boom, decentralization, DeFi, Flare, Spark, okay, Polkadot. These are decentralized finance places where you can get your insurance. You can be your own bank, basically.
Inevitably, because single points of failure and vertically integrated stacked type of tower companies are rigid. They have no incentive to innovate, and eventually they are subject to risk and resiliency.
Okay, so I'm going to stop for just a moment because I know I'm losing some of you guys. Our attention span as humans is 5 seconds. So I'm going to move you to another important part that he talks about.
Is in spearheading that work with the introduction of the new fintech charter. Can you explain the implications of these recent applications for the development of financial services in the US, and how is the OCC judging those applications that have been submitted from crypto businesses?
Well, so let me first of all talk about why it's important, and then I'll talk about the way we're evaluating these applications.
Yeah, sure.
So if you think about the way crypto has worked heretofore, it's an interesting technology. Investors are interested in buying, shares of these networks, and that's what these tokens really represent, are shares of networks. But at the end of the day, you can't really have a fully functioning crypto economy because every transaction at some point has to off-ramp into fiat, right? And so you've got this clunky connection between all of this cool stuff happening on chain.
Okay, this is so critical to understand what he's saying, to break this down, to decode it. He's saying, okay, so you can't be fully crypto, right? Because you have to have some sort of fiat off-ramp. Think about this. Is Bitcoin that? XRP is the solve for that, warriors. It is the bridge currency to bring you from fiat to fiat.
And then at the end of the day, I need to find a bank to turn those things into dollars, or a bank or an exchange to do those things. And so the connective tissue between crypto and fiat is an inherent inefficiency. For those of you old enough to get the joke, it kind of reminds me of my first car, which had an 8-track tape player. And so if you wanted to play a cassette tape, you got this weird little insert, and you put the cassette tape in the insert, and you shove the insert into your 8-track deck, and a lot was lost in translation. And that's what happens today. Every time you have to pay a 2% fee to convert your Bitcoin into dollars, that's the equivalent of the 8-track tape deck, not really working very well.
Boom. Bitcoin is the equivalent to the 8-track tape deck.
Very well with the latest technology. And so what has to happen for us to have a world of a crypto economy where nobody ever needs to go off chain, where it's fully integrated and fully seamless? I think what's necessary is for you to have crypto banks that are able to hold stable coins that reflect value denominated in the fiat currency, but that is a chain native asset. And you need to have real cryptocurrencies over here where they interact directly with each other with no need to ever off ramp into fiat, right? Fiat ultimately will be a legacy thing of the past.
Boom. Fiat's going to ripple the solve. I'll just leave it right there, Warriors. Let's go to the next video. Okay, so that's Brian Brooks, okay? Going to be the former OCC head. He said to you, I was on a mission. He came this year. He's leaving this year. I was on a mission for 25 years. My mission is very clear. He made it very clear what his mission was. Now we got former Ripple board member tapped to lead Biden's OCC, replacing Brian Brooks. Former Ripple board member, XRP, former Ripple board member, tapped to lead Biden's OCC. Very clear. This is how I decode things, Warriors. I listen methodically to all their words. I watch the players. Boom. Here we go. We'll move quickly now. I know I'm losing some of you guys. We're 15 minutes in. Warriors, let's go. What does Gary Gensler as the SEC chief mean? Jay Clayton throws out the lawsuit. Brian Brooks comes and fulfills his mission, brings in a Ripple executive to take over the OCC. Jay Clayton throws out the lawsuit. Now here comes Gary Gensler, the new SEC. Gary Gensler, who is he? Who replaces Jay Clayton after he throws a lawsuit against SEC? Well, he was just at MIT and he taught blockchain. And MIT in 1996 was creating the blockchain protocol. Interesting. Okay, so Janet Yellen. Woo, this stuff's exciting. Warriors! Let's go. Janet Yellen suggests curtailing cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, saying they're mainly used for illegal financing. Brian Brooks says Bitcoin is like the 8-track. Boop, 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 boop. I'm not trying to be facetious, guys. It's time to wake up. I'm not saying Bitcoin's going to go away. I'm not against Bitcoin. What I'm saying is Bitcoin's like Blockbuster and Netflix is coming in, baby. ECB President Christine Lagarde wants global regulation of Bitcoin due to money laundering concerns. Plans to update implementation, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Biden. Here we come. Biden comes on in. What's up, Biden? Here we go. Biden freezes all federal regulatory proposals, including Steve Mnuchin's controversial crypto wallet legislation, until his new administration can review them. Oh, man. Okay, so I'm just going to move quickly through this. Okay, they're going to want me to, I don't have time to do that. I'm just going to get right into it. So the next parts that I was going to talk about right here, this is an old American Banker article. But basically, what does Ripple solve, right? I'm a huge Ripple fan, huge XRP fan. That's why I haven't even budged with all this stuff, Warriors. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm a person who understands banking at a very deep level. I was in banking. I was an executive banker, a vice president of a bank. I learned how to scale banks from the ground up. You have to understand what this cryptocurrency solves and what cryptocurrencies do solve, Warriors, because you're following a news narrative. You were at Thanksgiving and your cousin was saying Bitcoin's the best thing ever, or they're saying it's a fraud. You're following information from people who have done no research. They haven't gone into a fundamental level and they don't understand the games and they're getting played. Guess what? The billionaires aren't going to tell you what they're going to do. The crypto market was taking a huge dive yesterday. Why do you think it's taking a dive? Oh, just because people are scared? It doesn't take dives like that unless it's being manipulated. The market is manipulated. The stock market's manipulated. The crypto market is manipulated. But when you know the players and where they're moving, you can make fundamental investments to completely change your life and create generational wealth. They are not doing what you're doing. They're not on Robinhood making small little trades, Warriors. They're making massive trades based on where we're going, not where we're at. The World Economic tells you where we're going. The IMF tells you where we're going. But Warriors, that's what we do here at the Warrior Academy. We teach you how to play the game. We teach you how to build generational wealth. But it's bigger than money. It's about mind, body, and soul and connecting everything at a deep level. As I said, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not asking you to trust a word I say, but I'm helping you by showing you and documenting my journey into the quantum financial system. So everything you need is down in the description below. You can join our Warrior Academy or join our free Facebook group where we go live every single day. I'm just here to share as much information as they'll give me the platform because I keep getting shadow banned, so I'm doing it as quick as I can to get as much information. And if I have to, I'll go off into the shadows with my crypto gains, and I'll be in the silence helping people because I love you guys, Warriors. This is bigger than money to me. This is about helping people regain the wealth and bring the money back to the uncommon 1%. Everything's down in the description. As we always say, Warriors rise. And if you're still here, comment Warriors rise because you're a true warrior. Let's go.